Welcome to Empower and Evolve, and I'm your host, Dunstan, and thanks for coming into today's episode. Now, this podcast is designed for those looking to break free from stagnation and enhance their well-being through actionable insights and inspiring stories. So you'd never miss an episode, hit that follow button and follow us through our social media accounts. Now, if you find value in our discussions, consider sharing this podcast with friends who you think might benefit listening today. Now let's get started on this journey of empowerment and transformation. Hi, Dan here, and thanks for coming back to Empower and Evolve. Now, our last episode we talked about intentions and how our intentions can help us make our commitment stick for the upcoming year. Now, for today, which is our pretty much our first episode of 2025 and our last episode for season 6 or first season of the second year, I'd like to talk about how can you make your new year the best year, right? We'll talk a little bit more about reflection, growth, and setting the expectations. And we'll talk at the end of our episode 7 practical strategies that can help you create a fulfilling and successful year ahead. So, let's dive in. Now, when we talk about planning our year or planning for something that's huge, like in this scenario, 2025 or the following year, I'd like to focus on one key phrase: reflection of the prior year, right? And when we talk about reflecting for the prior year, I mean, you could do so many ways. You have so many ways, pretty much, how you'd like to reflect or do your reflection, whether you just sit on your favorite comfortable seat in your room, perhaps, or maybe over a cup of coffee in a coffee shop, or maybe doing yoga in the morning. But what's important is the questions you want to answer during your reflection, right? My personal take, if if you can grab a pen and paper, you might want to write these questions down, right? And I'll start off with asking the question, what went well? What were the good things that happened in the past year, right? Write them down. Reminisce, enjoy, and smile at those moments, those small wins, huge wins of last year, right? And if you talk about the what went well, of course we want to talk about what were the challenges that you also encountered, the setbacks, the losses, the defeats, right? There are so many things that you could write out, maybe even small things that for others could be already big, but for you it could be small. But as long as you can remember any of these incidents of the what went well and what were the setbacks or the challenges, it means those things are important for you, right? And the last question you want to ask when you're trying to reflect, right? From the wins and the losses, right? What were the lessons you learned? Because when you try to think about the wins, the losses, and the lessons you've learned, it sets you to identify patterns, right? You can identify if there's a pattern wherein you gain your wins and there's a pattern when you gain losses, right? You might want to try to break it down further by asking yourself, what were the incidents or circumstances that led you to those wins and the losses, right? Now, as you identify these questions and break it down to the smaller circumstances, you'll eventually find patterns, right? Just like I mentioned. And these patterns are either circumstantial, meaning to say these are things that happens based on incidents that would lead you to a certain win or a certain loss. It could be behavioral patterns, what actions were you actually doing that led you to those wins and your losses. And sometimes you might want to as well, look at as well rather, the environment that you're in when you had those wins and your losses. It may involve the actual place, what time of the day, what time of the year. You may even start diving into the people that were involved in your wins and your losses, right? It's a long process, I will tell you honestly. And when you try to reflect for the previous year, maybe 1 hour should be enough. And what I will only ask you is to have that personal space and personal time when you do your reflection, free from distractions, free from interference, right? Now, why do I want to dive in that reflection? If you have been following the podcast for quite some time, I always dive into and use the term reflection, I guess maybe at least 10 times throughout last year. And when I talk about reflection, it also talks about that introspection, that increased level of awareness. And when you have that increased level of awareness, it helps you to slowly develop conscious effort and eventually become unconscious effort, because the unconscious effort is already a habit. It's already part of your system. So, when you think about this, and I'll use a very real life example. If you try to touch a boiling kettle, how do you know if it's actually hot or not? It could be experiences that you've had wherein you reflected and your instinct told you that if you see a boiling kettle, you know it's hot. If you see steam coming out, if you see water bubbling, right, you know it's hot. And that's your actual experience teaching you. It could now also be someone telling you that if you see something that has steam coming out, something that's boiling, something that feels warm to the touch, then it is hot, right? And at some point, you will eventually try to validate that, right? And once you've gone through that experience, you process that experience, your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions, and that's reflection, right? That's reflection for you. And the actions you do after that is the manifestation of your actions. Now, as we take the second half of today's episode, I'd like to talk about actionable items. And for me, there are 7 actionable items that I'd like to take out every single time you go into introspection, when you do your reflective time or when you do your reflection, right? The first thing you have to keep in mind, and this is pretty much when you want to set your plan for 2025, which is our topic for today, right? Set goals. And when I say set goals, make it as clear as possible. It has to be specific, it has to be measurable, it has to be achievable, it has to be relevant, it has a time deadline, right? It's time bound. And best way, put milestones, whether it's every quarter, half of the year, or even if you can really put a specific date for that goal or that milestone, do so. And you have to be able to keep track, because setting up a clear goal without you going back and checking your progress is mean you trying to run forward not knowing if you already crossed the finish line or not, right? So you pretty much should be running like a headless chicken, which I do not want you guys to be doing. Now, the second thing that you want to do is cultivate a positive mindset. You've been hearing positivity and having a positive mindset in one of my prior episodes. And when you have a positive mindset And for me, it's just starting off by doing positive affirmations, by showing gratitude towards yourself and to others. It helps you be optimistic, I would say, at the very least. And if not, more empowered and encouraged to do your goals for the year, right? And knowing that you wanna when you understand that you want to have a positive mindset for your goals, you also now develop that yes, it's not gonna be always a rainbow. It's not going to always be a walk in a bed of roses or a sea of roses. You will have blocks, rather. You will have setbacks, and that's perfectly fine. But because of that positive mindset, you know that it's temporary and that you can move forward, right? Third is having a vision board. I like to do this one because it represents the goals and aspirations of the year. So you want to put images, you want to put quotes or symbols that inspire you and remind you of the goals that you want to have. Funny enough, anecdotal, on my computer now, there's I wouldn't say it's a goal, but there's this thing that I wanted to buy for quite some time. So I did some tinkering on the net, trying to search for a picture of that, and I placed it as a wallpaper. Every single time I look at it, I've also looked at I already created a financial plan. How can I buy that? Because it's kind of expensive, and see how much I've been saving for that. And hopefully, if all goes well, before the end of the year, I should be able to buy that. So that's how you use a vision board to help you towards your goals, right? And if I'm able to achieve that goal, then yay, I'm happy, right? I'm happy because it's something that I wanted. It's something that I've been working and striving for. And hopefully, if all goes well, in the perfect time, I'll be able to buy that, right? Now, the fourth one is establishing healthy habits. Now, using that example of that thing that I wanted to buy, right? A healthy habit now is us, or me rather, being able to manage my finances well. So if I have to save a certain amount every payday or every month, um, that's a habit that I build. And I've been doing that for since last year because I've been really wanting to buy that, right? And me seeing that habit, doing the habit and seeing the results of that habit, it just encourages me. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not just about, when I talk about healthy habits, it's not just about saving money, right? I mean, there are other aspects of it, including regular exercise, healthy eating, maybe mindfulness practices, being able to set boundaries with your social gatherings. Excuse me. That's a habit, right? As long as it's aimed at helping you to become a better version of yourself, then that's healthy, right? And talking about last week or the last episode where we talked about intentions, as long as your goal and your intent resonates with your heart, it's easier for you to do it because it's part of you, right? Now, last two on my list is, or last three rather on my list is prioritizing self-care, right? You might be striving hard to reach your goals, but you end up getting sick. Then I don't think that will make your 2025 or the year that you're in when you're listening to this episode a best year for you, because yes, you may be achieving your goals, but it's the exchange of that is you compromising your health. So please take care of your health, right? And then to round up the last two is find and build your support network, your cheers, your fans, right? Life and a year will not finish in one day. That's why it's a year, right? Some of the people who will support you at the start of the year may not be the same people who will be supporting your goals at the end of the year. But what is important is you identify them, who they are, and which part of your journey do they fall under, and try as much as possible to engage with your supporters. So you communicate with them what's your progress, communicate with them what's your goals, celebrate with them your wins, right? And in that every phase of that journey, whether it's going to be the same person from day one up till the last day of the year, or it may be a different person altogether, as long as these people are positive influences who will push you, right, to be a better version of you, that is more than enough. Because we cannot expect everyone, as much as we want, to follow us and join us in every step of our journey. But remember, like here at Empower and Evolve, we will always be your fan. Just let us know how we or I can help you guys in your personal journey, and I'll do as much as I can. I'm not gonna give you a hard promise that I'll always be there, but I will do as much as I can to be able to support you. Now, to round up the list, I mean, we've been talking about a lot of positivity, and maybe this is just real talk, right? That there will be times that you won't be successful in your goals, right? You may have setbacks, you may have challenges, or maybe the fork road will give you a different direction for the remainder of the year, and it kind of veers off away from your goals at the start of the year, right? So learn to stay flexible and adaptable. Maybe the goal that you want is not meant to be given to you, or it's not meant for you to achieve this year, because there's something bigger, something more important, something more urgent that is happening that diverts you from that goal. There's this, and me, just sharing a video that I watched. There was a priest. Um, I will not drop his name, but I've been watching his video in YouTube as well. Um, he said that even though your heart tells you, it resonates really hard on you that you want something, that you have a goal on something, you have to remember that the God, or your Lord, your Jesus Christ, maybe has something else in store for you. So, encompassing other religion, right? Your faith, that supreme being up there, may have something in store for you that's different from what you want. And even how hard you want something, if it's not meant for you, it will not happen, right? If you take something that's not intended for you, he will take it from you, right? So being able to understand and have the grace to accept that, having the grace to accept that not everything you want is for you, because there could be something better for you in store. And it teaches us a little bit of humility down the road, right? That um, we may be achieving things because we've done the work for our goals. But at the end of the day, if it's not meant for you, it's not meant for you, right? I know how I'm ending this episode is kind of on a low tone, but I guess the strong takeaway from today's episode, when you want to have the best year, is stay grounded, stay humble, and start from scratch. The past will teach you everything that will help you for the year ahead, right? You need to do the work. You need to strive hard for it. You need to have the people around you to support you with it. And with the grace of that person up there, right? It will happen, right? So I hope that you take today's episode as an inspiration for the year to come. And just remember, here at Empower and Evolve, our goal is to help you become a better version of you. And with that, we'll catch you next week. Stay safe, take care. Bye for now. Hey, buddy. Thank you for joining us on this transformative journey of empowerment and growth. Now remember, it's not just about evolving. It's about embracing that incredible power within you to become the best version of yourself. Keep striving for greatness, because together, we can create a world where empowerment knows no bounds. And if you find value in today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and share this podcast with someone who could use that little inspiration. Until next time, stay empowered, stay inspired, and keep shining brightly on your path to evolution. With Empower and Evolve, you have the tools to unleash your potential and rewrite your story. Let's continue to evolve together.